What's up, creeps? I got a fun one for you this week as we wheel into the drive-in styling of Christopher Mihm, a director, writer, producer, actor, editor, cinematographer. He basically does everything on his productions. Christopher cranks out a micro-budget monster movie every year, so he's pretty much a modern-day Ed Wood or Roger Corman without a studio backing to do a movie every year. I gotta admit, I really enjoy Christopher's movies as the throwback sci-fi monster flicks he makes are dead on from the black and white picture, the plot, acting, low budget special effects and monsters, poster art, recycled music, writing, all of it. If he was making these in the 50s and 60s, you'd all know his name. Which brings me to one of his movies from 2016 about an American soldier who's captured by the Nazis and turned into a monster. Talking about Weresquito, Nazi Hunter. So what we get here is a Nazi experiment gone bad for the bad guys as the Weresquito corporal has to find those responsible for turning him into the blood-sucking, bug-eyed monster he becomes at the sight of the red stuff. This is Christopher Mihm's attempt at a metaphor for PTSD and another title in the bucket for the Nazi experiment trope, which it's practically a requirement that any movie involving Nazis has to revolve around some crazy experiment or, other lurid stuff. Weird sex and sadomasochism, or monsters, wild experiments, and mad scientists. Mihm isn't going to give us his take on Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS, so we instead get a mosquito monster that was supposed to be able to continuously feed on Allied troops to win the war for the Third Reich. Weresquito stars Mihmiverse regulars. Yes, that's the name fans gave his movies. Anyway, we have Mihmiverse regulars Rachel Grubb as a diner waitress, Liesel, who takes a liking to John, played by Douglas Sidney, as the human form of the Corporal John Baker, and James Norgard as Schramm, the Nazi scientist and antagonist of the movie. And then there's also Michael G. Kaiser as the Weresquito, and he's been in every one of Christopher's movies so far, all 14 of them. All right. Well, let's get into Weresquito Nazi Hunter. If you're going to watch Weresquito along with us, it's available on Prime, so go ahead and pause me after the fade. Then watch Weresquito up to when John goes to get Liesel some water after her ex-boyfriend shows up at her house. Pause the movie, watch my unpaid commercial break, and then we'll talk about Weresquito so far. All of Christopher Mihm's movies are on Prime except for Destination Outer Space, and It Came from Another World. So if you end up liking this one, there's a whole bunch more to watch there. Just black and white monsters, aliens, ghosts, smarty pants scientists, and more.
Take the girl to my quarters.
Janet's car? Yeah. There's not a trace of it.
Let me loose. Did you hear me? You will be soon as big as a giant. Or, like all the others, dead.
So far we got John the American soldier that is looking for Schramm in this town, and he finds Liesel, who just so happens to know everyone in this little village. Convenient. We of course then get the drunk ex-boyfriend who doesn't like this guy talking to his woman while she works. But as we find out, nobody owns her, and John slaps the shit out of him before going skeeto on him when he shows up again at Liesel's later. The Weresquito getup looks a lot like Vincent Price on The Fly, which this movie is clearly, taking a page out of look-wise. Then we get John being as vague as he can when Lisa asks what happened to Eric since she bounced her head off the coffee table. Of course, John isn't going to tell her he turned into a mosquito monster and sucked him dry without getting a drop of blood on the carpet. That'd be too complicated. So instead, they play a game of, well, he's gone. He isn't coming back. Let's say he won't be bothering you anymore, which she keeps asking, what does that mean? It means I drained him of his blood and probably buried him in the woods before you came to. That's what it means. I like how she even asks, where did you bury his body? Which he's taken back by before she says that she is joking. John's played by Douglas Sidney, a Christopher Mihm regular. Actually, most of his movies are in the other ones. Douglas was also in Attack of the Moon Zombies, a late night double feature, and then also Guns of the Apocalypse. And then Liesel's played by Rachel Grubb, who's also been in Phantom of Monster Lake, Cave Women on Mars, Queen of the Snakes, and more of Christopher's Mimiverse movies. She's also one of those alt models, which just is what we call pinup now, I guess, if it involves some sort of nudity, sexy latex outfits, or even tattoos. Like whatever you won't see in Victoria's Secret catalog or Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Like Suicide Girls is more like it. Plus, she's also acted in other indie movies and also had a couple awards from some film festivals. Anyway, okay, we're about to see that Liesel's knowledge of the townspeople is going to advance the plot a bit more forward. So go ahead and pause me after the fade if you're watching along. Watch the movie up until John is finally finds Schramm and then gets knocked out. Then pause it to watch my unpaid commercial break, and then we'll talk in the next segment. What I like in Mim's movies is that he has that black and white monster movie down almost to science, including the dialogue speaking style. It's like shades of Captain Kirk, though like not as pronounced. We're going to watch the movie now. So quit listening to me talk, and we'll see you at the next break.
Once a normal, voluptuously beautiful woman, she drove into a nightmare of horror and saw descending from the sky a titanic monster whose fearsome touch became a frightful curse.
You think I'm drunk, don't you? All of you! I'm not drunk! I'm not! You've got to believe me. Please. It was right in the middle of the highway, 30 feet tall.
Once she's in the booby hatch, throw the key away. That'll put you in the driver's seat. You'd make a wild driver, Harry. With $50 million.
What she saw was beyond belief until others, too, faced its hideous, uncontrollable menace. Attack of the 50-foot woman, incredibly huge, with incredible desires for love and vengeance.
Mystery solved, gang. Schramm is Liesel's dad, and Carl is her uncle, and almost everyone is interrelated somehow because it keeps the cast small. So, Daddy used to be a Nazi, and now John's quest for revenge is going to mean killing Liesel's dad. So this could get interesting. Rewinding back to when John goes looking for Gruber, the Arnold Schwarzenegger talking guy. That's one of my favorite parts, aside from the flashback where Schramm calls John Little Piggy. Nobody takes John seriously when he tells them they'll regret upsetting him, as if he's, the Hulk. The only person regretting his actions will be you. And then the best one of the entire movie is when he's tied up to the chair talking to Eye Patch Carl, the Nazi, and the henchman says, "Look, you're bleeding, and I don't regret it." But then he does. These movies are all pretty much a family affair. His wife is producer on almost all of them and also has an on-screen role in them. She and their son, David, who's also been in a handful of the Mihmverse movies, were actually part of the family in the diner scene a little earlier. The husband was Michael Kaiser, who also plays the Weresquito here. So that's 2 roles for him in this one. All right. Time for the exciting conclusion to Weresquito Nazi Hunter. Anyone else liking the fake German accents? That's a favorite thing of mine in movies. Bad accents. Just use some German words of pronunciation so we don't get taken out of it too much. Wunderbar! Now I'm totally convinced these are Germans. Also, how many times do you think Schramm calls John Little Piggy throughout this? I got a final count for you at the end, and it's still nowhere near as many times as the name Carol Ann is used in Poltergeist 3. Nobody is going to own Liesel. She's made apparent to us numerous times. Nobody owns me, not now, not ever. You know exactly what was going to happen when she goes Black Widow and Schramm starts offering up to John. That Black Widow get up was something cheap, but you got the point. That last scene was also the only time John was referred to as a Weresquito. Get the Weresquito. So everyone dies, and we'll see if there's a Weresquito sequel sometime in the future, as a few of Christopher's other movies are sequels to another or loosely connected to another. Maybe Schramm shows up in another one, or they make a movie about another experiment he did. But what I want to know is, it wasn't the Weresquito supposed to fly? I heard Schramm say that he was, but we never got to see it, which is disappointing. Schramm says the Weresquito was his first success, but if he doesn't fly, it sounds like the experiment really wasn't that successful, was it, Doc? Anyway, I told you about the count on how many times Schramm calls John Little Piggy, or just Piggy. The answer is 24 times. Schramm's accent is German mixed with Fargo, isn't it? Then you had Gruber, who was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everyone had a different German accent, meaning none of these guys would have made it out of that basement bar scene from Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. Well, I hope you enjoy Weresquito, Nazi Hunter, and I hope you'll check out more of these movies on Prime from Christopher R. Mihm. I definitely recommend The Monster of Phantom Lake, Cave Women on Mars, and The Giant Spider. His website, St. Euphoria, has all of them for purchase, as well as some merch, so maybe toss some money his way. And then keep a lookout for his next movie, which unfortunately got pushed back to next year because of the COVID, The Phantom Lake Kids and the Beast Walks Among Us, which looks to be a sequel to his Danny Johnson Saves the World. Well, that's it for Corner Room Creep Show this week, and I'm Mr. Sam Haim once again saying, watch something new for a change. I'll see you next time.